Welcome to my office. I'm here in Laguna Beach. I'm Dr. Anita Wong, and I'm a board certified emergency medicine physician. I'm still working in the ER. I'm helping those people at their worst, and I have a newfound passion, which is working with people before they become their worst, to avoid becoming their worst, and just being as healthy and youthful as long as they can possibly be. I don't know about you, but I am really tired of COVID. And I would almost believe anything to not have to face the current reality of how it is affecting so many lives, health-wise, economics, socializing, education. As a parent, the whole time I've been preparing, um, oh, preparing, someone's trying to call me here, trying to prepare them to get back to school. All for summer is eating right, eating their vegetables, doing their exercise, getting their sleep, doing all the right things, and then to turn around that we're still 5 months later, still in the midst of this. So I still was always a proponent of that there is, hope, and that, it's the host versus the pathogen. But as the nation is trying to get back into schools, and here in California, we're still grappling with that. I know the Broad Institute in Boston is working with them to get testing for all the Bostons, to be able for those schools to get back, because really what is going to help us get back is testing. So if and it's not testing that has delayed turnarounds, but that has a timely effect of testing. And we want our teachers to be safe, our students to be safe, our children to be safe, because COVID is very real. I know a lot of people have lost their fear of COVID. They're complacent. It's just going on too long, so they're just going about their business. But for those patients, people who it's affected, there was just a boy who lost both parents in this week. He's 17, lost his parents. There's a woman who woke up from her coma with no fingers and both legs gone. There's the long haulers that have symptoms that not just for days, weeks, but for months. So the infectious period is can be before your symptoms 2 to 3 days, maybe 5 to 10 days, and so the average is somewhere about 7 to 12 days. And the way the syndrome is really going is you have your pre-symptom, your before pre-symptomatic, then you're symptomatic, you have your viral stage, then you could have a cytokine stage, then you could have the thrombotic, the coagulation phase, the inflammatory phase, and then this long phase. So there's a lot of there's encephalopathy, brain issues, inflammation of the lungs, inflammation of the heart, things that are going on. People who are immune compromised could actually be infectious longer than 20 days. But but generally this is not what's happening to everyone. But there are 78% of the people after they get this disease still having these inflammatory and long haulers symptoms. And wearing a mask really still protects you, especially if you're indoors and you're going to be within 6 feet and you're going to be talking for 15 minutes at a time, though it's going to increase your risk, and especially without any eye cover. Outdoors, your exposure is less. It's not like, it's going to be less. It's not like measles where they walk through a room and everybody gets infected, right? And kids tend to display symptoms less, right? But, so besides just dealing with the host, and I'm trying to make sure that the body is at its best, eating the right things, knowing what supplements, what nutrients, what vitamins, what antioxidants that you need. And if you're doing all the right 4 pillars of what I say that you should be doing is, you're eating good food, non-toxic food, and eating the right things that are not causing inflammation, causing leaky gut. So food, mood, you're a positive mood, you're stay upbeat, and you're not getting depressed and overdoing it with drugs, alcohol, or sugar to increase your mood. You're moving to keep active, and doing movement is very important. And then relaxation or sleep, or being able to get meditate and get that restorative sleep, and just decompress from stress. So those are the 4 pillars that I usually work on. And if you're doing those things and you still don't feel like you're at your peak or where you need to be, then test. Don't guess. And check to see that you're getting what your mitochondrions are needing for your cellular function to work at your best. So that's functional medicine. That's what I do. But what I really wanted to talk about is how we can get back. And we have the tools, we have the technology, it's here. Some places, universities, University of Michigan is doing the testing. Boston School Broad Institute, as I said, is collaborating and doing the testing for the schools in Boston. So we have the capacity to do this. And I was really feeling despondent because I was doing all that I could with the host, and thought there was nothing that, we're waiting for the vaccine and there's nothing else done. The testing was just not being useful. I mean, in my institution, we've gone through 7 different testing. The turnaround time can anywhere be from 3 to 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and that person is testing. They think they might have it, but then they're walking around, no mask, going about their business. In the infectious period, they're still spreading it. So we're not getting a handle, and you can't do contact tracing because then you want to go back 4 days of when they were in contact with somebody. They can't remember 2 weeks later, 4 days prior to the test, who they were with, right? So there's just kind of not being effective. Recently I just watched this movie. I know it's kind of old, The X-Men, with my 13-year-old boys. And if you guys know the movie, the Professor Charles, and it's the mutants against the humans, he's talking about his heart. He was broken in here, that he didn't have faith anymore, and that what he had lost was hope. And that's what I realized. I had lost hope. And then when I heard about Dr. Michael Mina, he's a Harvard an epidemiologist, that talks about our PCR testing, which are excellent tests, and they're super sensitive. But test sensitivity is really secondary to the frequency of testing. You need it daily, and you need the turnaround time to be immediate. Than being sensitive, because with the sensitivity, we're only picking up with these PCR maybe 5, maybe 10% of the people are infectious. If we lower the sensitivity and we find those people who are infected, we can actually detect 85% of those who are infecting and passing it on, right? Because we can't even tell about the people who are asymptomatic, right? So to understand this transmissibility is really not how sensitive to the test is. It's the CT value. The CT value is this thing called the cyclothreshold, which actually detects the nucleic acid, of the RNA of the virus, right? So when you get these CT values of 30, that's when you're transmitting, and then CT value about 25, and so. That is positive. That's when you're probably transmitting, and at 25, that is the about equal to about 3 million in the PCR. Okay, and so people are wondering, why in the world do they have people are positive, but people in their family are not getting infected? Well, it's because the PCR tests are so sensitive. You're detecting fragments of this RNA. And you're not collecting the infectivity. So these people can be in the household, and they're going to be test positive, and then other people will not ever become infected because they were not infectious at that time, and so they remain positive. But that's not what we're looking for. So we don't need it to be sensitive and know that you're positive. We need to know how infectious you are, and really that area of being infectivity could really just be within hours versus days, because there's an exponential growth of it, right? So actually, what I'm going to do is I think it's better. Pictures are worth a lot more and explaining things, and I'm so technical, you guys know that. But what I'm talking about is that when you look at this, right, and hopefully you can see this, because if it's in front of me, right, this is the graph. So if we look at infectivity of the virus world, so it starts like this. So it starts and then it exponentially grows, right? And then it peaks and then it kind of starts to taper off, right? Tapers off on this way. So what you have is the CT values is of, so our CT value of 40. So this is where we want what they're asking their PCR test to be. And the RT PCRs, these cost about $100, right? And they're taking, what, 3 to 2 weeks. So it's taking a long time. Okay, then we have about, and let's see, I'm gonna see how I'm gonna write this down. So let's see what I'm gonna do. So you have a 35, and then you have maybe a 30 here, right? And then I'm gonna put like 25 here, right? So for the PCRs, this may take be a little longer, go longer than I thought, but so the PCR is going to be here. This is what you're detecting and how sensitive. So in this area here, they're not really that infective, and then over here they're not infective, but they're going to detect that for a longer time, right? So if you look at these other tests that I'm talking about, what they say they're less sensitive tests, but they are not inferior. They are actually very good tests, but they're not inferior. They're just less sensitive. So there's, and I believe that those tests are there. Well, Abbott was actually about, they're hitting more about. Let's see, I threw my graph off, but they're hitting right around here. Okay, so this less sensitive, but this is the highly infectious period, right? So that's what we want to hit. So we want to get these, and the studies of where the South Korea and stuff, they were probably getting these people, and they were not that infectious, right? And what the interesting is that that New York Grossman School of Medicine, that's the one that did the study that beat up these tests and said that they're not that great, but they really are, because what they did is they showed that at let's see, what was it around so 36, at 36, right? The PCR is about 1,000. Oh, and these test strips, these paper test strips, I just wanted to let you know, cost anywhere from $1 to $3, and the turnaround time is 10 minutes. So do you know what that means? You could go to school, they send the kids, they could test them in 10 minutes, they say, oh, you're negative, come in. You could go to a restaurant and go get a test strip, and then they say, oh, you're negative, come in. If you're test positive, they say, I'm sorry, you can't come in. Or you test yourself in the morning if you so choose to do so. And then you know if you're positive, you're gonna stay home, or you're gonna wear a mask, you're gonna let people know. Because you can do that daily, weekly if you want, daily if you want, and the more testing you do, and then you can find this area, and you're going to be able to avoid going out and infect others. And then you don't need to do contact tracing, right? So it's just self-administered, simple test, do it 10 minutes, and then on your way. And the schools can be doing this. So this is what I'm hoping that everyone will go to my website, and they'll find a petition and find a letter that you can write to your congressman or to the school board or to whoever, and get this movement going. In Boston, they're already doing it. We have Stanford, we're in California. Why can't we do this? So it's here. So anyway, so this is so TC rate, so 1,000. So that's not infective. So you have to be infective is at 3 million, right? Really 3 million. And the threshold for these sensitive are around, of these less sensitive, is about a CT value of 30. And the studies that done, that New York Grossman School of Medicine study that I was talking about, what they showed was at the Abbott test was at 36 at 1,000 was 100% accurate, and then but the test that they showed that was not not showing correlating was at like 44 and 46. So they were these less sensitive tests were negative, but the PCR were positive. So that's what they're talking about. So, but it was down here in this range. It was under this, under down here. So it's not an inferior test. And this is what I think that what we really need to get to. And so I'm encouraging you all to consider going to my website, looking at that, and sharing this information with everyone. Hopefully that was a quick little thing that you could explain this. And if you find these videos helpful, please like them, share them, subscribe to them, to my Facebook, to the email health tips. And the more people that I can send these messages out, the more people I feel that I can help. And as always, please go to my website. It's my name, ANITAWANGMD.com. Thank you for taking the time for listening. I hope you find these useful. Please send me your ideas, your comments, your suggestions, or topics on how I may improve. And please take care till next time.